Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Miss H, after observing your class yesterday, I would like to ask you some questions about it.
Okay.
In general, how do you think your class went?
I think that the lesson went pretty well. I think that, we're engaged for the most part. I think maybe they could have improved the participation. I think they learned what I wanted them to learn. I think that they learned a few new vocabulary words, which I thought was good.
I did notice, though, that some of the kids were not participating. Why was that?
I think sometimes it's hard to kind of keep them all engaged. I think that, I need to improve that because it's very hard with the social studies curriculum and the time restraints that I have to keep everybody involved. How do you think I could do it better?
Well, most of your class were bilingual kids, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Maybe you can partner whoever doesn't know enough English with one who does or can communicate, and that will help them out to do it. That will be one way.
I think I could try that. That might work.
Do it. Also, how do you think the procedures that you use and the student behavior and even the spacing of classroom can contribute to the student learning?
I think that the procedures are very well explained. They were explained on the first day, and I think that with regard to procedures, I think that we have a very strict system, and I think that it works because it's consistent. Every student knows what they should be doing at all times of the day. I also think that the procedure of the teaching is beneficial because, again, it's the same way every day. We always do vocabulary at the beginning, and then we continue into the textbook, and then, again, as we come across other things that we need to talk about or discuss, we will do that.
Well, what I observe is that you really don't have that much space between the aisles. Actually, you don't have any aisles, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe rearranging the room, moving your desk either towards the back or towards the front, and have groups instead of having just them so close together. Mm-hmm. Either that or maybe that would be the solution, to put them in groups, and in that group you will have one or two kids who will speak English with kids who were not, and then they communicate and translate and participate in that way.
I think that could be a good idea.
How do you think, if you had to take some lessons or some student work from what you did, the activities that you did yesterday, which one will show me the student learning, the student understanding?
I think that the Venn diagram that we used will show higher order thinking skills, which to me means that the lesson was successful. Again, I don't teach social studies so that the students can repeat back to me dates or times or people's names. I don't think that's really what history or social studies is really all about. I think it's about higher order thinking skills, about learning to connect history to other history, and I think that it's sort of like a connection, that it has to be a connection, otherwise I find that students get very disinterested very quickly.
Yeah, well, with the bilingual kids, social studies is one of the hardest subjects to deal with because it's a lot of information is hard. It's a lot of vocabulary words that they don't know.
I agree.
Maybe if you can even translate or just have the set of vocabulary words, and they will at least get them in a dictionary or put them in the computers and have the same information translated in Spanish. That will help them out.
Yes,
and then they will have the English part with the Spanish one or Arabic, whatever it is, because they can do it on the computer, and at least be able to understand and connect and be able maybe to do well in the homework as well as in testing.
Yes, I think that would be beneficial.
If you have the same group of students teaching the same lesson, what would you do differently?
You suggested the groups, and I think that I would probably use a little bit more group work so that the kids could kind of talk to each other, scaffold, to make sure that they were, I knew that they had somebody to talk to about what they had learned. Again, because sometimes one kid will get one interesting fact out of a lesson, sometimes somebody will get a different interesting fact, and to kind of be able to share those ideas, I think, might be helpful, especially with the bilingual students. So I think that I would probably teach it the same, but give them a little bit of an opportunity to talk amongst each other, as long as it's educational talk. Talk amongst each other about what they learned or what they found interesting or something like that.
Okay. I did notice also yesterday when I observed you that for the lesson plan that you gave me, you kind of depart a little bit from the lesson itself, from the plan itself. Why do you do that?
I find that sometimes with the bilingual and also with the special ed class that I teach, it's easy to do it. I find that sometimes the pacing or the time frame that I've allotted is not enough, because again, they need more assistance, more repetition. We go over, sometimes I'll go over the previous day's lesson for 10-15 minutes at the beginning of the class, so then again I'm behind already. And so I find that sometimes they do differ that way, or I'll explain something more or less than I had originally planned on. But again, I do usually end up at the same end result. I always end up with the same evaluation that I planned for, the same vocabulary words that I planned for. But again, sometimes in the middle I do go off of the track, but I think that it's for their benefit, not for just because I'm off track. I know where I'm going.
I do understand. And so, but the DOL will let you know if they have gotten.
Yes, the DOL does demonstrate. It's demonstration of learning. So again, it kind of is I try to make it as quick as possible, less than 5 minutes, about 5 to 6, because again, I only have a 45-minute block. So to keep it for 10 minutes, which they say a DOL can be up to 10 minutes. I don't really have that sort of time flexibility, because then half of my day will be on DONAS and DOLs. So I do agree that they're important, but I do try to make them a quick snapshot rather than, a 10-question DOL. Do
you think you need training either in the content area or any areas of the lesson that you taught?
I think that I could use training in bilingual. Again, I'm a social studies teacher. That's my content. I'm also special ed certified. So I feel comfortable teaching both of those types of populations. But again, I've never had any formal training, or really even any informal training, on how to better a bilingual student, how to help them in the classroom. Again, our students don't get services during social studies or science, so it does become a challenge when you have students in your class who don't speak barely any English, and you're trying to do your best. I do try to supplement with Spanish, but again, I have an Arabic student who does not speak English, so again, it's very difficult. So I try to, again, I have them copy the notes, but I don't really know what else to do, and I don't know that that's even working.
Well, I will use either the computer, if you have that tool to use. Even if the person is Arabic, you can put them there and put the translation part for it. Also, depending on the level, the skill level of the child in their own language, what that child will need are basically vocabulary. And once they own that, once they own the vocabulary, their skills are there, so they just have to translate the whole knowledge into English.